I used to work nights at the old Sutterfield building downtown. 20 floors, built in the 1920s, all marble hallways and brass fixtures. The kind of place people called historic instead of haunted. My job was simple: run the freight elevator after hours, move equipment, let in contractors, keep the building locked down. Easy money, or at least I thought so. By the third night, I started noticing something strange. The building never felt empty. It felt like something was standing just out of sight, waiting for me to look the wrong way. The building had cameras everywhere else, and sometimes, when I checked the feeds, I'd see someone or something too tall for a person, too still for a shadow. One night, around 3 a.m., I was called to bring some boxes up to the top floor. Only one elevator in the whole building goes there. Mine. Except I wasn't supposed to have any deliveries scheduled. When the doors opened, the hallway was dark. The marble walls seemed to swallow the little light that came from the elevator. No one was waiting. Just a single dolly with unmarked boxes sitting in the shadows. I told myself someone left them there earlier, but the hall was cold, colder than the elevator, like walking into a freezer. Then the door open button flickered by itself. The doors started to close, then stopped. A faint scraping sound echoed down the hall, and then I heard it. Not footsteps, not a voice. Something dragging itself across the floor, slow, wet, coming closer. Down the hall, just at the edge of the flickering light, a figure appeared. Its head nearly brushed the ceiling. Its arms were too long, its fingers grazing the floor. It tilted its head like it was listening. It looked at me, and then it smiled. Not with its mouth, with the whole shape of its face, bending, cracking, stretching wide. I slammed the closed doors button. The doors shuddered, but didn't move. The lights flickered out. In the dark, something whispered my name. I yanked the emergency brake. The elevator dropped a few inches and stopped. I curled up in the corner, praying the doors would stay closed. The whispering grew louder. Sometimes it sounded like my father's voice, sometimes my own, sometimes voices I didn't even know. Through the crack between the doors, a pale hand with too many fingers slid into view, clawing at the edge. Then it slipped away. By dawn, the lights came back. The elevator moved like nothing happened. The hall was empty. The boxes were gone. I quit that morning, but it didn't matter. That night, I saw it again. Outside my apartment window, under a street lamp. Tall, pale, head tilted, smiling. Now I see it everywhere. In the reflection of subway windows, in mirrors when I'm not ready. Sometimes I swear it's standing behind me when I brush my teeth. Last night, I woke to the sound of my apartment door unlocking. If you're listening, don't take the night shift. Don't ride the last elevator, and don't ever look through the crack in the doors, because something might be smiling back. I used to think the library was the safest place in the world. Quiet, predictable place where nothing ever happened. That's probably why I took the job. I was broke, desperate. And when I saw the posting for an overnight archivist at the city library, it felt like a blessing. Easy work, could pay. The hours didn't bother me. I've always been a night owl. They called it an archivist position. Really, I was just babysitting. City's central library is old, 3 floors above ground. Below, the upper levels are what most people know: reading rooms, stacks of books, study tables. Underground are vaults, not for money or gold, for manuscripts, handwritten journals, collections, ledgers from 200 years ago, records of the city's history. He said my job was to log any temperature fluctuations, make sure no water leaks got near the shelves, and lock up if anyone tried sneaking in. Nobody ever did. For the first 2 weeks, it was boring in exactly the way I hoped it would be. I'd sit in the security office On the second sublevel, drinking coffee, reading books I pulled from the shelves. Once in a while, I'd take a walk down the long aisles, run my hand along the spines of the oldest collections just to remind myself how much history was packed into the place. Then I started noticing things. First was the silence. A building that old couldn't be silent. It should creak, groan, shift. Down in the archives, the air was heavy, too heavy. I could hear my own heartbeat if I held still long enough. Second was the smell. Books have a smell. Paper, dust, glue. Sometimes, when I unlocked the vault in the far back corner, the air was different. Damp, sweet, almost like rotting flowers. Third was the journals. There was one aisle, deeper than the rest, where the shelves leaned inward. The weight of all those books was pulling them closer together. That aisle was filled with journals, thousands of them, handwritten, some from the 1800s, some more recent, leather-bound, cloth-bound, spines cracked with age. First, I thought nothing of them. Then I noticed a strange detail. Some of the newer journals had dates that hadn't happened yet. I found one labeled October 2026, another marked December 2031. They were written in neat, stamped handwriting, hundreds of pages filled. I tried to open one. Paper felt damp. My fingertips tingled like I'd pressed them against a battery. Slammed it shut and shoved it back on the shelf. Told myself not to touch them again. Of course, I did. The night it really started, air felt wrong from the moment I clocked in. Too still, too thick. I took a walk through the stacks to settle my nerves. Flashlights sweeping across rows of books never moved, never changed. I reached the aisle of journals. Stopped. One of them was lying on the floor. Open. It wasn't possible. No one else had access. I knelt, lifted it carefully. Pages were filled with handwriting, small and neat. As I read, my stomach turned. It was my handwriting. Just similar, identical. The entry was dated 2 days ahead. It described me walking into the vault, finding the journal and reading it. Every detail matched, down to the exact words running through my head. I whispered them aloud, slammed it shut. My hands were shaking so badly, I nearly dropped it. I didn't finish my rounds that night. I sat in the office, lights blazing, TV on low, trying to convince myself I'd imagined it. Morning came, I went home, rolled into bed, and tried to sleep. I couldn't, because the whole time kept thinking, if the journals were real, what else did they say? Next night, I told myself I wouldn't go near that aisle. I'd stick to the safer parts of the archive. Lasted maybe 2 hours. By midnight, I was back there, flashlight in hand, staring at the rows of leather spines. The journal I'd touched was back in its place. Against my better judgment, I pulled another one free. This one was dated a week ahead. First page was blank, so was the second. Halfway through, words began to appear. Not ink, pencil. Letters surfaced slowly, like they were rising out of the page itself. My name was the first thing written. You shouldn't be here. I dropped it and ran back in the office, slammed the vault doors shut and locked them. I sat in my chair, heart pounding, trying to breathe. The monitors flickered. For a moment, I thought I saw something moving between the shelves. Too tall, too thin. Feed went black. The lights came back. Monitors showed every aisle of the archive. And at the end of each one, figure stood. Dozens of them, all tall, all thin, all still, and all smiling. I didn't finish my shift. I didn't even make an excuse. I ran up the stairwell, out into the night. I didn't look back. The library threatened to fire me if I left again. I told them the cameras were broken. The monitors glitched. They didn't believe me. I needed the job. I went back. Next week was worse. Now it wasn't just the journals or the cameras. I'd hear whispers between the shelves. Sometimes they sounded like my own voice. Sometimes like people I hadn't spoken to in years. Once I swore I heard my mother's laugh, faint and hollow, coming from the dark end of the aisle. Then there were the journals. Every night, more of them were on the floor, open, waiting. Some were blank. Some were filled with impossible handwriting. One described the exact thoughts running through my head as I debated whether or not to quit. Another described a dream I'd had as a kid. A dream I hadn't told anyone about. A dream of being chased through a forest of mirrors. The worst one was dated for the very next night. It described me standing in the aisle, reading the journal, and looking up, see someone standing behind me. Didn't sleep that day. I came back the next night. Stomach was in knots. I told myself I wouldn't touch a single journal. I'd do my rounds, clock out, never return. When I reached the vault, the aisle was clear. No journals on the floor, nothing out of place. I almost felt relieved until I turned to leave and realized there was a journal in my hand. I didn't remember picking it up. There it was, heavy, old, bound in leather that felt wrong, like skin. I opened it before I could stop myself. Words crawled across the page as I read. Don't turn around. I froze. Something was breathing against my neck. Slow, heavy, close. Couldn't move. My flashlight flickered and died. Dark pressed in, suffocating. Breathing grew louder. Then, right by my ear, whisper. Smile ran. I don't remember dropping the journal. I don't remember unlocking the vault doors. I just remember sprinting up the stairs two at a time till I burst into the early dawn light. I didn't quit that morning. I didn't call in. I just didn't go back. They left voicemails, emails, letters. They wanted to know why I'd abandoned the post. I never answered because it didn't matter. Journals didn't stay in the library. First time I saw one outside was a week later in my apartment, lying on the kitchen table, open, waiting. Pages described me reading it, right down to the way my hands trembled. Second time was on the bus, sitting in the seat across from me, leather cracked, pages fluttering in a wind that wasn't there. Third time was in my bed. I woke to find it resting on my chest. I don't know how they follow me. I don't know what they want. I know they're not stopping. Last night, I opened one without thinking. The entry was dated tomorrow. It said, "You will tell this story. You will warn them. You will beg them not to listen. They will. They always do. When they do, journals will find them too." Closed it, shoved it under my bed. Tried not to cry. When I woke this morning, journal was gone. In its place is another one. This time, date isn't tomorrow. It's today. The last line is already written. "You will smile now.